Inaugural day of the virtual consultation on science for resilient food, nutrition, and livelihoods, contemporary challenges. The past few months have shown us more emphatically than ever before that we need to look at science and people very closely. Food, in fact, is basic to every other need. In this context, this conference brings together eminent speakers on the subject of facing contemporary challenges. Together, we also hope to provide some answers and pathways. I'm Jayashri, Director Communication at the Swaminathan Foundation, and it is my pleasure and privilege to take you through the proceedings today. To begin with, I invite Dr. MadhuraSwaminathan, Chairperson MSSRF, to welcome our Honorable Vice President and other dignitaries.
I welcome our Vice President, Shri Venkaiah Naidu, and thank him for honoring us with his presence on this annual day. Sir, your presence is an inspiration to us, as it is a reflection of the fact that you value our work and have valued it, have visited us earlier. It also places on us the onus of exploring new science-based ways of ending poverty in our country. We have entered the 4th decade of the foundation at a very historic moment. A global pandemic has affected the lives and livelihoods of millions of Indians, particularly the poor and the vulnerable. Over the last few months, the staff at the foundation, sir, have stepped up to this challenge, engaging in immediate relief, health education, and so on, as well as starting to study the effects of the pandemic on agriculture and proposing solutions. At this historic moment, your presence here is valuable. I also want to thank the Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister of the Government of Tamil Nadu, the state that has welcomed us right in the beginning and supported us. And I'm happy to announce that the lease of land in Chennai has been extended for another 30 years. The central ministries of agriculture, of rural development, environment, forest and climate change, water resources, and many others have supported us over these 31 years and are with us here today. A special thanks to Professor VijayRaghavan, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, for taking time to be with us today. Friends, this is an unusual situation and we are having an online consultation. So I want to thank many of you who are there virtually in different parts of the world, including the World Food Prize winner of this year, Professor Ratan Lal, who will be delivering a special address today. Also, our members of various UN organizations, the World Food Programme and others, our own colleagues, students, friends in different sites and locations today, our partners, our donors, our well-wishers, thank you all for joining in, for having supported us for these 31 years and entering the 4th decade of the foundation with us. To link science and society, the media plays a very critical role, and we have been conscious of that here at the foundation, and I want to thank all our friends from the media who are here with us today. Last but not least, our students, our staff, our scholars. It is their work and commitment on behalf of which we can take some pride in our modest achievements. There is, however, an enormous challenge facing us today, and with all your support, I hope we can continue to find science-based solutions and methodologies for improving agriculture, agricultural incomes and livelihoods, and the living conditions of millions of rural persons in India and elsewhere. Thank you once again for being with us today.
Our most loved and esteemed professor celebrates his birthday today. So on behalf of everyone gathered here, I also take this opportunity to wish him a very happy birthday, and we constantly find guidance and inspiration from your thoughts and actions, sir. The founder chair of MSSRF, Professor M.S. Swaminathan, will next address the gathering.
Thank you very much for the birthday wishes. I'm grateful. Every birthday becomes meaningful if you're able to accomplish something during that year. At the end of the year, you look back and find out that you have done something useful to fellow human beings. Then I'm very grateful to my colleagues in MSSRF for the extraordinary support they have given. For an institution which Murali said is nowhere in the world, and if you want to build a new one, you have to start from below. Also, if you can build an institution which is nowhere in the world, not only in terms of physical infrastructure, the very beautiful campus, the various gardens are beautiful gardens. But what is important, not gardens and buildings, but also work which has resulted in the improvement of the livelihood of the people. In fact, the Prime Minister has been saying that we must double the income farmer. We must double the income farmer. How do we double the income farmer? It is possible today. There are 4 methods, apart from other methods, 4 methods. First is increasing the productivity of farm. I don't want to go into detail here. You are all working in different crops, and you know what steps could improve the productivity of the crop. Productivity means obviously straight away profitability because income. The second thing we should do in terms of improving or doubling the production is to ensure that all our farms are able to utilize every part of the rice plant. In other words, it is not just the rice grain or the rice stem, but every part of the rice plant. In fact, we have put up at Nepithaw, near Myanmar, we have put up at Nepithaw, the new capital of Myanmar, a rice biopark. The rice biopark is one which gives you added income and added product from the leaf, the straw, the grain, every part of life. Therefore, there is possibility today to increase the income of agriculture, not only by looking at the green parts of it. Today it is possible to increase income. By not only looking at rice straw, but also looking at the other parts of it. I am very happy to meet the Honorable Shri Venkaiah. He has been a source of not only political stability in the country, not only the well-being of people, but has been a parliamentarian of par excellence. He has taught us what in a democratic society, how Parliament should function, what should be the aim of Parliament, the custodians of democracy, secular democracy. Sir, I know you came just a few minutes ago, and still you have taken the trouble to come here. I mentioned earlier about how to improve the productivity of farm. I mentioned earlier how to increase the variety. Hello, I'm sorry sir, you have come. I won't take time because I know you will go to the next appointment. But all that I will do is, we have very good examples today of how to double income, or how to triple income. All that you need is an opportunity to show it. It is possible today. For example, many countries have shown that increased income is possible. Finally, sir, since you are in charge of Parliament, I would like to request you to do something for women farmers. When I was a member of the Parliament, I introduced a private member's bill on women farmers, because we know we have enough data to show that women farmers are their contribution to agriculture, to post-harvest technology particularly, production of value-added products, and above all storage of material so they don't get lost. All these are monumental. Somehow in agriculture, the woman farmer's role had not been formally recognized, but now it's recognized. So by summary, I think we should not deviate from the vision of the Prime Minister. The vision of the Prime Minister, that we should have double income of the farmer. In fact, in the Farmers Commission's report, we have recommended that increase in income of farmers must be the main purpose of agriculture. Increasing after all, they also require more income and more opportunities to send their children to school and so on. And now, towards the end, let me say, the whole area of the bill which I mentioned, I would like to, I will send you a copy of the bill. You must already, because I know you are a voracious reader. So, but I will send you a copy of the report. And the idea is the women farmers entitlement bill. So among farming communities, whether it is women or men, if we all together work together, then you have one of the finest farming systems in the world. And I expect, today also I saw in the newspapers that Indian agriculture and Tamil Nadu agriculture is one of the best in the world. The Royal Commission on Agriculture, headed by Naidu, says one of the finest agriculture is the Andhra agriculture. The 1928 Andhra agriculture is one of the finest. Today it says Tamil Nadu agriculture. I'm glad that states have they are competing with each other to attain the first position. first position in agriculture income. Not only agriculture production is important for income, but there is a lot of scope for income. So we want to thank you for coming here immediately after some other engagement. We look forward to your guide. You have given us a lot of support. And I would like you to look at the woman farmers entitlement bill and see whether we can rejuvenate the bill so that the woman farmers and men farmers are both equally important and have equal opportunity for contributing to the country's agricultural well-being. Thank you, sir. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much, sir. I understand there was a little audio disturbance at the start of Professor's talk, so very quickly, what he has said today is that both men and women farmers are of great importance. The vision of doubling farmers' income that the Prime Minister has laid out is very important, and we need to work towards that. However, if it is possible to enforce the land rights of women farmers, and Professor has also promised to share a copy of the book to Shri Venkaiah Naidu ji, who he says is a very voracious reader. He has profusely thanked the Vice President for his presence here today and recalls with fondness that they do share a very strong rapport. And on this note, I would like to call upon the precious friend of the Foundation, the Honorable Vice President, who has won his way into the hearts of people with his sharp insights on major issues and situations, amazing wit, and being in fact a people's Vice President. We now look forward to the inaugural address, and on behalf of the Foundation, sir, we are extremely grateful to you for your words and for launching the conference. We invite the Honorable Vice President to speak, please.
எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். MS Swaminathan ஆராய்ச்சி அறக்கட்டளை நடத்தும் ஆலோசனை கூட்டத்தில் கலந்து கொள்வதில் நான் முகுந்த மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். Whenever I hear the speech of Swaminathan ji or his writings, I feel that I am getting enlightened on a very important subject for the humanity as well as for us in India, because we are basically an agricultural country. And food is very vital and important for all human beings and other creatures also. I have so much admiration for him. He is a fatherly figure for all of us, as I am a son of a farmer. And I feel proud that I am son of a farmer. He is the guiding force and is a walking encyclopedia on agriculture. His contribution to the growth of agriculture and expansion of agriculture, not only in India, even many other countries, is really praiseworthy. I am delighted to join all of you today to inaugurate the virtual consultation, Science for Resilient Food, Nutrition and Livelihoods, being organized by the MS Swaminathan Foundation. I am happy that Professor Swaminathan ji, the visionary scientist, genetist, international administrator, and the architect of India's Green Revolution, who I hold in the highest regard, is with us today, and we could hear his views on agriculture. I will take note of whatever he said, and I'll try to really pursue it at various levels, including in Parliament. the land rights to women, farmers, is very important. In our system, the land rights are given to men. Slowly, changes are coming with regard to other property and all. But basically, the land rights has to be given to women also. Even the house patta, the title, and all properties of the family, they should be there in the name of both male and female member, that is husband and wife. It is heartening to note that MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, founded by Professor MS Swaminathan ji, aims to accelerate use of modern science and technology for agriculture and rural development to improve lives and livelihoods of communities. I especially commend the foundation for dedicatedly following a pro-poor, pro-woman and pro-nature approach. This is very important. I am confident that this virtual consultation, Science for Resilient Food, Nutrition and Livelihoods, will go a long way in evolving new strategies and practices to promote food security and nutrition. My dear sisters and brothers and delegates who are participating from various parts of the globe, in 2015, the world adopted the visionary framework of the Sustainable Development Goals, what we call as SDGs. The global community took a solemn pledge to leave no one behind. That was the pledge we all have taken. With the 10 years to go until 2030, it is time to take stock of the progress made so far. Where are we in terms of achieving the zero hunger and good health and well-being goals? This is a question we all have to introspect. The United Nations report titled The State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World 2020 states that the number of people suffering from hunger in the world has been slowly increasing since 2014. The latest estimates suggest that 9.7% of the world population, or nearly 750 million people, were exposed to severe levels of food insecurity in 2019. The report also says that around 690 million people in the world are estimated to have been undernourished in 2019. Globally, 6.9% of the children under 5 or 4.7 million were affected by wasting in 2019, and more than 9 out of 10 stunted children lived in Africa and Asia. This is clearly not good news. Of course, I do understand there is a growth of the population in spite of the progress we made. We are producing record food grains. But the problem is, one is the nutrition. Second is the growth of the population. The policy planners at all levels, the political leaders, all views, they should focus their attention on population planning also. We need to do things differently and more quickly. That is the call before all of us. We need urgent, focused and concerted action at national, regional and global levels. India has made significant strides in reducing hunger, undernourishment, infant mortality and stunting and wasting among children in the recent years. The Government of India has accorded highest priority to combating health and nutrition problems in the country. Some of the recent initiatives underway include the launch of Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, which has benefited more than 98.16 lakh women. The Poshan Abhiyan, real-time Aadhaar-linked beneficiary level monitoring and performance-based joint incentives for the frontline workers. Pan-India launch of rotavirus vaccination to prevent diarrhea is also another initiative. The recently announced education policy, national education policy, includes a provision to provide a nutritious breakfast to school children. This is a welcoming step, but much more needs to be done. Especially in the context of the pandemic, the problem of hunger and undernourishment may become more acute because of the loss of livelihoods and global economic slowdown. We must also realize that much of the recent increase in food security can be attributed to the greater number of conflicts, often exacerbated by climate-related shocks, degradation of natural resources and water scarcity. Even in some peaceful settings, food security has deteriorated as a result of economic slowdown, threatening access to food for the poor. The need to invest in resilient communities equipped to face these challenges has never been more urgent than today. We must build resilient individuals, households, as well as communities. Healthy, socially connected, prepare people are better able to withstand, manage, and recover from the disasters. Human society has made major advances in science over the last few years. This knowledge has to be proactively adopted and blended with the traditional knowledge of indigenous communities. We must use this scientific knowledge for human welfare, for resilience and reduction of hunger and nutritional deficiencies. What is required is a concerted action by the public, civil society, Panchayat Raj institutions, local bodies, and states and central government. International cooperation will help to accelerate progress and in achieving lasting success. My dear sisters and brothers, delegates, if we are to ensure food and nutrition security to millions, there is imminent need to take up agriculture in a more efficient, resilient, profitable, and productive manner. Pre-harvest and post-harvest losses has to be minimized. Market infrastructure and the national road and transportation network must be improved. Farmers should be able to get their produce from the farm gates to markets at a reasonable cost. We must set up investments in improved storage, processing, and preservation to retain the nutritional value of food products rather than investing in highly processed foods. Food, agriculture, and trade policies has to be constantly reviewed and updated to suit the times. We must also reorient our agricultural priorities towards more nutrition-sensitive food. The health impacts associated with the poor diet quality are significant. Diets of poor quality are a principal contributor to the multiple burdens of malnutrition, stunting and wasting, micronutrient deficiencies, overweight and obesity. Both undernutrition early in life and overweight and obesity are significant risk factors for the non-communicable diseases. Our policy should promote investments in irrigation infrastructure. Likewise, national food and agriculture strategies and programs should set up investments in research and development, R&D, to raise productivity of nutritious foods and help reduce their cost. There is much to achieve in terms of anticipatory research where we can take proactive action. Farmers in villages are benefited from the anticipatory warning as we see from the current experience with the locust attacks. Similar anticipatory warnings are being done in natural hazards such as floods to informing individual farmers. Anticipatory research, participatory research, and translational research, that is converting theoretical know-how to field level to do, is all important. Our laboratories must be firmly linked to our farms and fields, and technology transfer and farmer education must happen seamlessly. We must also make the best possible use of information and communication technology to remain connected with the farmers so that they may receive timely advice and inputs crucial to the success of their crops. India is a treasure trove of traditional wisdom when it comes to agriculture. Instead of rejecting this wisdom as an archaic, we must make every attempt to integrate the best of these techniques into agriculture along with the modern technology. The government has set a target. The Prime Minister is very keen of doubling the farmers' income by the year 2022. It has recently announced a number of measures that will help us achieve these ambitious goals. I am not going to elaborate them. encouraging contract farming through state governments by promulgation of Model Contracting Farming Act, upgradation of the Gramin huts, e-norm, distribution of soil health cards to farmers, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, per drop more crop, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bhima Yojana, Kisan Credit Card are the major among the several effective interventions made by the government to improve the lives of our farmers. This conference will undoubtedly help the national policies more robust and provide valuable insights that will accelerate the pace. I am hopeful that this will provide the necessary impetus to the process of policy implementation. I am confident that this timely conference will guide each one of us in leadership positions to creatively shape the future of our nation and ensure not only food security but also nutrition security and stable, rewarding livelihoods. My dear friends, particularly from abroad, who are all participating in this, and the other scientists, please note, this year, this pandemic, the corona, has affected the life and livelihood of many. One section with all these challenges, which has stood firm and then produced food grains in a record manner. All food grains, whether it is paddy, whether it is wheat, whether it is pulses, you take anything, the output, the increase over the last year is really praiseworthy. I salute the Indian farmers. In spite of all these challenges, they were able to produce not only enough food, more than the previous production. This is because of the commitment and the caliber and the native knowledge of our farmers. They are able to do it in spite of, as I told you, the restrictions and the movement, problems of other things where different sections of the country had to face certain difficulties. But in spite of difficulties, Indian farmers have produced record food grains. That's why I said hats off to them. My dear friends, once again, I feel very happy to be here. I would have been more happy in the virtual, it is an actual conference where all of us could meet, greet, talk to each other, exchange views. But you know, that's not in our hands. The present situation has made this conference has to be consulted into has to be converted into a virtual consulting on a very important subject. I would like to pay my respects to Professor Swaminathan ji. I wish him much more long and a healthy life so that he will continue to guide us in the future also. And I would like to compliment all the delegates, renowned scientists who are all participating in this conference from different parts of our country and different parts of the globe. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind. Nandri. Vanakkam.
So on behalf of the foundation, we also request Honorable Vice President ji to virtually release the annual report. We will hold up the physical copies here, but on screen we would just request the virtual release of the annual report to be facilitated. Thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring words. We do remember all the points, especially the fact about saluting the farmers and providing anticipatory research inputs through this conference. We are extremely grateful to you. As you said, we would have loved it if you could have come in person, but this virtual meet is really something we are very grateful to you for launching. Joining us online now is the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Professor K. VijayRaghavan. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your thoughts on the contribution of science to food and nutrition. Professor VijayRaghavan, we would request you to unmute your audio, please. We are able to see you. And
yeah, I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We really look forward to listening to you, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Professor MSSRF, it's a great honor and privilege to be here today on the Foundation Day and virtual consultation on the science for resilient food, nutrition, and livelihoods contemporary challenges. It was wonderful to hear the Honorable Vice President of India, Shri.M. Venkaiah Naidu, cover the entire range of challenges which are faced today for food, nutrition, and livelihoods. And it was also very valuable to listen to your comments on how important it is to integrate farming with the livelihoods and the association in a recognized manner of women in farming. These are all very critical points. I shall be very brief, but first of all, I'd like to start by saying that the MS.Swaminathan Research Foundation is an exemplar of the kinds of structures which we need to connect science and society and get feedback from the grassroots about what is happening and what needs to be done and what needs to be changed. Such structures are vital. We cannot have only structures which are central or state government or private and so on and so forth. The deeply intertwined nature of such organizations such as yours with people in various areas of our country are something we all must be proud of and we must emulate. Today we are in a very extraordinary situation. Again, exemplified by the virtual nature of this consultation. We would have all been together in Chennai with you were it not for the coronavirus pandemic. Now, that has again many great lessons for us. And sadly, the world has not taken sufficient cognizance of previous such pandemics. And maybe this is a time now to ensure that we don't forget this one and we learn our lessons from this one too. The reason for this not taking lessons is also the optimistic and forward-looking nature of human endeavors, where we forget our difficulties and look forward in an optimistic way to the future. Pandemics occur infrequently, other disasters occur infrequently, and therefore we carry on as if bad luck will never favor us. But this has changed recently for three important reasons. One, over the course of human industrialization, from the first industrial revolution, we have constantly created order at the expense of disorder in societies outside our own. So wealthy Western countries, for example, had the luxury of mineral resources, human resources, and markets, and created order which had the appearance of sustainable development, but in reality had devastating effects on the environment and climate of our planet and on livelihoods elsewhere. As the world grew, it has become clear, it became clear that it is not possible to have sustainable development by this model everywhere in the world. You can have sustainable development in some locations, but the planet will be devastated. So something has to give. Otherwise, we will have to continually live with the consequences of climate change, the erosion of our biodiversity, and the erosion of our quality of life. Because for this model, what is at its core is the meeting of certain yields of various components. Are people getting enough income? Are they getting enough food? Do they have jobs? And it's possible, as we have seen, to substantially meet these and even go ahead to fully meet these by having dramatic negative consequences on climate, on environment, and on the quality of life. So we need a new model of development, a new model of sustainable development, which has less negative impact, preferably zero negative impact, on our biodiversity and increases our quality of life and has effects which diminish, mitigate, and reverse the consequences of climate change. So how is that possible? That, in my mind, is possible by the very same tools and devices which brought us to this place. People often criticize science and technology for our current situation. But we must keep in mind that science and technology is inextricably linked with economics, society, politics, commerce, and so on and so forth. So it is not that a given technology, such as the wheel, is responsible for all the changes we see, or the axle, or the gun, or and so on. So it's about where we use them, and that use comes from a situation where this link between science, technology, politics, society, everything takes place. So in this situation, we need to look ahead and see what the demands can be made on scientists so that we have a more sustainable future. When you make demands on scientists, for example, if you make demands that you need nitrogen for soil, technologists, politicians first got nitrogen from guano, then they got nitrogen from the nitrite mines, and then the Haber-Bosch process resulted in the capture of nitrogen from the environment, from the air, and today more than half the nitrogen in each of us comes from the Haber-Bosch process. So if you make specific demands on scientists, you get solutions, and those solutions can be used wisely or unwisely. So today, I'd like to end by saying that we need to make another kind of demand on scientists. We need to say, use less water, use less fertilizers, use less pesticides, keep yield high, make farming more sustainable at local levels. And if you make such demands, scientists will deliver. But those kinds of demands to be explicitly made require both a top-down change in our approaches, which can happen, which will happen, but also a bottom-up demand for a more sustainable life. If at one level we make demands for a highly consumer-driven life, and on the other hand, to save our planet, save our climate, then we will have to go back to the old models where a certain bubble can have sustainable development, but the planet cannot. Today's planet is such that mutually exploitative economies will not have a long haul, will not succeed. And mutually cooperative economies will succeed. And that is some spirit which we need to get globally as well as locally at the level of each individual. I'd like to end here by saying that there is an intricate braid which ties science and technology, politics, economics, and the people. That braid was tied in a manner which resulted in the world we have today. That braid has been unbound by the pandemic. And today we have a chance to put that braid together again in a more sensible manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor VijayRaghavan, for those words. And indeed, science being given a lot more importance now is something which is very heartening. And we do hope we will be able to share back the recommendations that this conference makes and also seek your further advice and guidance in this matter. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today. Moving on, I'd like to invite our new Executive Director, Dr. K.S. Murali, to present the annual report A year is a long time if you have to summarize everything in a matter of few minutes, but he's going to take on this and other daunting tasks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Professor VijayRaghavan, I think you will continue to be online, listening to our proceedings today. I also thank our Honorable Vice President, Mr. Venkaiah Naidu ji, for inaugurating this address. First of all, it's a daunting task, as Jayashree said, and also it is just within not even a month since I inducted into the institution, and I am reading the annual report. I would rather be hesitant to do this. In any case, most of you know it better than I, and I just skim over these slides and in between make some explanations for whatever I understood in the process of learning in the last 3 weeks or so. So we had really 5 different thematic areas the foundation pursues. One is on coastal systems research. We have done an excellent mangrove conservation management activities carried out in about 250 hectares across Andhra, Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra. One of the heartening things in this mangrove restoration is that the forest department officials have regarded this one of the successful interventions, because we are able to regenerate nearly 25 different species of mangroves, and not only that, the growth of the regenerating individuals are so fast that within a couple of years we will be able to get excellent cover of the mangrove forests in these areas. So that's a big positive note that we have from the foundation. We also had developed mangrove genetic resources conservation center. Over 25 species of mangroves seedlings have been restored in Koringa Wildlife Sanctuary. And the Coastal Village Resource Center established in Machilipatnam, which is a new center that is in support from Mitsubishi Corporation, which I think we have had a new center here, refurbished center, which is ready to support fisher people, particularly in the Andhra, East Godavari areas. The pest and advance notification, pest disease advance notification, it's a need-based agriculture information. In Tamil it is called as Pannai. It has been launched, and over 10,000 farmers in Vedaranam are connected. This primarily forewarns the farmers that a particular disease or pest is now coming to place based on various geospatial and agro and geospace modeling. This is I think people have found very nice use of it, and much more people are going to involve in making use of it. Fish for All Center in our Pumpuhar Center has completed nearly 10 years of its service. It's supported by Tata Trust. And they also have developed a fisher-friendly mobile application form, which is good in terms of it provides the fisher folk when there is a high waves are there, and so that they can avoid those areas. So it is a life-saving application or a computer application which is very useful, and this also bagged an award from Global Resilience Partnership in Kenya. Flowership improvement program in the Parkway area is also one of the important issues which reduces the bycatch. There are various, to catch the fish, there are various adaptations done in the fish net, which excludes fingerlings and also various other turtles and other mammals and other things which fishermen don't want it, so which otherwise would have gone waste when they bring it to the landing centers. So this is another important issue which, if you look on the other hand, where Forest Department looking at biodiversity conservation, the marine lands, they were very strongly looking at it, but now it is realized now. That's one very good thing, because most of the time when I was working in Gulf of Manna project. This is something which was challenging, and now after 10 years or so, this has realized the importance of how one can reduce the bycatch in fisheries areas. Another important thing is seas are getting polluted, and this pollution has to be reduced. And Clean Seas campaign we have collaborated with, and we are developing a national database on marine litter, which is very, very helpful in reducing the litter, particularly the plastics in the seas that gets clogged at various places. Another theme that we are looking at is biodiversity. We have biodiversity community conservation program in Kolli Hills, which is looking at various seed banks and also grain bank systems available there. It is primarily looking at how the value chain of millet crops is being advanced. Multi-story mixed farm projects which will enhance income, not only enhance income, but also try to gather nutrients from various levels of the soil, different layers of the soil, and which is again increasing the productivity of the soil or productivity of the land per unit area, which is again supported by NABARD, which is quite extensive in our programs. Farmer producer company in Kolli Hills has really crossed over 1 crore of the annual turnover, which is again very good. The farmer producer company tries to gather various products produced from the farmers, directly take them from the farmers and then sell at optimal prices so that the farmer gets a better price. It is being acting since 2016. Community Agro-Biodiversity Center at Wayanad is making strides again. One of the important things that happened in the last couple of years is that we are able to launch Hon'ble.Vice Conservatory. Hon'ble.Vice is one of the very important medicinal plants that we have seen. There are nearly 12 or 13 Hon'ble.Vice species. We find it, but we are only looking at 6 species of Hon'ble.Vice in Wayanad Center. And another important is there are so many rice germplasms that we have. And in this center, we are about 17 paddy or rice varieties which are medicinal and aromatic rice cultivars, which is being now, which is almost like extinct, but now it's being recovered from the field because people at the local level had conserved them. Then community conservation plants for tubers and banana. I think these are all one of the best crops for the tribals, and maybe 30, 40 years ago we were it's our staple crop, and that's now being revived in the tribal areas. Working with vulnerable Paniya community, which is again a very small community in Kerala and adjoining Tamil Nadu areas, which I also had worked at almost 20, 25 years ago. That is important to revive their traditional systems. And also on climate change issues, we need to help them out. And Biju Patnaik Center in Jaipur, Tribal Agro-Biodiversity, we have farmer producer companies where we are trying to establish a center which produces breeder seeds and also foundation seeds, because the many millets are not available readily, and in order to enhance the availability, access of the seed, this center has tried to enhance start seed production and enhance the availability of seeds. And again, we have about 50,000 sampling raised in Biju Patnaik Tribal Agro-Biodiversity Conservation Garden. About 42 schools are involved in this process. Nutrition garden, I think we are supposed to have opened this, but unfortunately this couldn't happen today because of various reasons. And they have about 200 varieties of vegetables and fruit crops, which is primarily to provide farmers the nutri-rich food to them at the backyard. We also have women SHGs in the community seed banks established in villages. And biotechnology center, we have salt secretion mechanism from halophytic rice, which is very important to understand how some of the species of rice are able to withstand salt tolerance. And there is a effort to make salt tolerance varieties, germplasm collections, and also how to understand how some of these mechanisms are being worked at the root and shoot levels. Non-timber forest products, particularly lichens, production has been established, and compounds conferring food flavoring properties are being worked out. And also I worked on the collection of lichens way back in 92 to 98. But I could not do myself much, but I'm happy that the foundation is now looking at it. While genome sequence analysis of some of the Pseudomonas species are completed, and biotic and abiotic stresses tolerance are being determined, so that it's helpful for generating the cultivars that are salt tolerant and also stress tolerant. Ecotechnology, I think it is far and wide center which has many facets. They are not only working in the agriculture sector but also in the fisheries sector. There's a lot of participatory action that's being done in Puducherry, Tamil Nadu, Odisha and Assam, and livelihoods, particularly supporting the livelihoods and natural resource management. There are many ICT-based applications are developed in this center for agriculture extension services, and nearly 60,000 farmers are benefited from this. The international network, emerging library, this is one of the, I thought it is very important, also unique. Instead of, many urban centers know how to use a library, but villages don't know how to, perhaps the concept of library is taken to the villages, and the necessities of the villages need to be understood in order to develop a library, and that has been being very rapidly being changed. And I was very happy when I was sitting with that group to understand that libraries are taken to the field, to the villages. Perhaps a day will come where we can start through mobile, they are able to get what they require, particularly in terms of agriculture or fisheries. There are 2 new initiatives undertaken in Gram Panchayats based on composite water resources in Tamil Nadu, and fine-tuning the pest regulation. I think it was already told. And one of the important issues they're also taking is how in 2 species the pollinator services are being addressed. One is mango and other thing maize. So the ecological interference, I think I don't recall who said it, if the bees are dead, human race will be dead in the next 10 years or 20 years. I think it is Einstein, if I'm not correct, if I'm correct. So I think it is one of the very crucial research that is being taken by Ecotechnology Division, and I think I have to put more efforts into this because I myself is involved very intensely. I did a lot of work there. Agriculture, nutrition and health is another very vast subject, or the thematic area that really permeates across various states and also various disciplines, primarily speaking. The LANSA, although it has ended last year, I guess, but it is done well. In fact, I was quite happy that the team has started, hunger fighters, community hunger fighters. There are about 100 hunger fighters, I understand, in Orissa alone, or in Koraput alone. And I think we need to extend that or upscale that to various other places. This is very crucial. If we want to bring any health issues associated with agriculture, I think these are the crucial links that we have to develop. Thousands of them we need to develop so that, that will be permeated into the societal, various, strata of the society. And technical support to this Krishi Vignan Kendras in Andhra Pradesh has been done under FSN model. I think we should be a conduit to KVKs and our own foundation at the local level, so that we interact very intensely on that. Again, gardens of nutri-rich plants established in KVKs, and one of the ideas is to enhance crops such as vegetables, so that the farmers will be getting more and more on nutrition. We also started focus intensely on climate change, and we also have one person who is inducted, who is participating in various IPCC proceedings. And we also gave one Mina Swaminathan Foundation Fellowship this year, who is doing his PhD from August onwards, if I understand. And we have communication outreach cell, which is doing quite well, good work in terms of outreaching through monthly e-newsletters, Twitter, Facebook, etc., etc. And we also had several conferences in the last year, in the last 6 months. And one of the important ones is Nature celebrated 150 years of its existence. And there were several eminent scientists who came and spoke in this area, and some of these things we had to take in a very serious manner. And this also need to be strengthened, because we will have to communicate to the public at large as to what we do in the foundation. I think that's what we have in store at this moment. I limited because there is a limit to what we can speak about in the big audience like this, but we will have more to come, and our annual report has much more to add in what I said. And thank you very much for your attention, and thank you all for listening to and connected to this streaming. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for listing out the highlights and also sharing your experiences and insights into the way ahead as well. We will move on to the announcement of a fellowship next. Auntie is here today, and we are very glad you could join us, ma'am. As a person who has spearheaded the gender and development agenda at the foundation, we thought it fit to recognize this with a special additional fellowship for journalists, for the media. Just before the formal announcement of the fellowship by our executive director, we would just like to play a short video out that shows some of her vision in not only setting up the foundation as a gender-sensitive space, but also looking at science and research from a gender lens and making an impact in that sense. So here's a short video of her thoughts. Please bear with us as the audio is just coming up.
I think from the beginning, the policy of the institution was to encourage both men and women workers, especially women, because they may not have so many opportunities. They may not have had, many of them may not have had opportunities earlier. And then special facilities for them, so that it encouraged women to participate actively. At a very few women own land in their own names. And it became even more difficult. If a man died, the land would immediately be taken away from the widow. And she would be working like a slave in the family, getting just food. That's about all. So we also had to create awareness about how land is a right, and whether you're a man or a woman, if you have that right, it should be ensured to you. Got a lot of field work done, getting widows, for instance, to claim their rights. Well, it's only when we think about it that we realize that we have moved forward. If we look back to where we were, then we see women have moved forward. The number of things which women are doing now, the number of professions they are entering, the number of things which they are able to take up and do And a great support has been the self-help group, because when they are in a group, they are able to function. So I think one of the most important things which came to the rescue of women was the self-help group. Because however poor you are, however educated, uneducated, illiterate, still, when you have the support of others, you can achieve something. So the whole idea of women helping themselves through self-help groups was a very important one. And there's one woman in the group with a little push and dynamism. She encourages others to move, and they all move. And the others pick up fast. So I think self-help became willy-nilly the motto, because only women can help other women, remote areas, poor areas, areas where women are not educated. They don't get so much opportunity. So I think a lot more has to be done still. Because though they do the bulk of the economic work, they don't get the bulk of the returns. They do equal share of everything, but they're not getting equal returns. So I think to give visibility to women's work, importance, success stories, what all they have done, what they've been able to achieve, very important. We should go on doing that.
You with this vision and with this pathway that was charted out by Mrs. Mina. We will be announcing the fellowship. To make a formal announcement, I invite the Executive Director, please.
It's indeed a great pleasure to announce this fellowship, Mina Swaminathan Fellowship for Gender and Development. The Mina Swaminathan Fellowship, instituted by Professor MS Swaminathan, aims to intensify focus on the theme of gender in MS Swaminathan Research Foundation in recognition of Mrs. Mina Swaminathan's contribution to operationalizing gender and development as part of the institution's core commitment to pro-women, pro-poor and pro-nature approach, and also pro-children approach. MSSRF began a gendered approach to research and development under the leadership of Mrs. Mina Swaminathan several years ago. Mrs. Mina Swaminathan is nationally known for our contribution towards developing a holistic view on gender equality and child development, including ICDS, that is Integrated Child Development Services, which takes into account the multiple needs and roles of women. The Mina Swaminathan Fellowship envisages a unique researcher-media partnership for journalists to focus on issue of gender and development, particularly in rural India. The theme of the fellowship, first fellowship 2020, is Gendered Impact of COVID, dealing with gender and health, focusing on the post-COVID-19 situation in rural India, to explore how coronavirus has changed women's life. While recognizing a consistent writing on gender, development and rural concerns, it is available to any full-time part-time journalist with regular publication in popular mainstream media platforms. For 2020, 2 to 3 candidates will be identified based on their work and writing on gender and their linguistic proficiency. Constant exchange of ideas between the researchers and the media is envisaged towards greater science media partnerships. The fellow will be identified through an expert committee set up for the purpose, and the announcement will be linked every year to MSSRF annual conference. Thank you.
So we are very excited about this, and we will be posting the announcement shortly, and we encourage all journalists and those who are listening to this to share the word before the formal announcements come, and we look forward to having the first Mrs. Mina Swaminathan Fellowship awardee announced a little later this year. We are now coming to the close of the proceedings, but the conference continues, as you've been informed already. It is available on YouTube and Facebook streaming live from MS Swaminathan Research Foundation handles. And for those of you who've also received the invitation links, you can log in and connect. Please join us for the next session at 2 p.m., which is on agrobiodiversity and sustainable food systems. And to formally propose a vote of thanks, I request Dr. Bhavani, Director Agriculture, Nutrition, Health Program of MSSRF.
So as Jayashree said, the last leg of this inaugural session. On behalf of the trustees, staff, and scholars of the MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, I express our gratitude to the Honorable Vice President, Shri Venkaiah Naidu, for having inaugurated this consultation and setting the tone for the deliberations that will follow from the afternoon today. He had to leave early, but we place on record our gratitude. We also thank him for releasing the web version of the annual report of the foundation. This is the first time we are bringing out a web version, and you can see it online, access it online on our website. We are grateful to Dr. Professor VijayRaghavan, the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, for putting light on the importance of science in the theme that we are going to be discussing today, the role of science in building resilient food and nutrition secure systems and livelihoods, and the challenges that we face, and setting the tone for, again, the deliberations to follow over the next 3 days. Our very grateful thanks to our beloved professor, our founder, mentor, and guide. So we look forward to your continued guidance in the years to come and to taking us forward. And in normal times, this hall would have been full, and we would have had people from both across India and the globe convening for an international conference. But this year, due to circumstances, as has already been mentioned, we had to go virtual. We're thankful to the members of media who are present here and who are also covering the event online, to the many participants who have been attending this session online, and we hope you'll continue to do so over the sessions to follow, starting with the technical session, which will be at 2 p.m. this afternoon. And we are honored by the guests present here today, Mrs. Mina Swaminathan, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, and of course, due to the restrictions around the pandemic, we requested that everyone attend the session online, or even those in Chennai. But we are very thankful to all of you for participating. We look forward to active interaction and questions during the deliberations that will follow. This is the first time, again, due to the circumstances, that we are organizing a virtual conference, and that's meant a change in strategy from the way we commonly do things, and it's meant a huge load on the technical team, which has been literally working 24/7, been on their toes. So big hand to the team led by Mr. Rajamanikam and his team of Guru Prakash, Kannappan, and others. And this is just the beginning, and they have to see us through the 3 days. And of course, Jayashree, who's been coordinating this whole effort. And of course, behind them, the many people who have supported this, the arrangements for this conference, the administration, the coordinators of the different sessions, the rapporteurs for these sessions, which will, all of us have had to work in tandem to bring it together, to stitch it all together. So we are very thankful to everyone, and to, of course, to Morwell, who will be catering to the food arrangements for those present here and attending. So with that, we come to the end of the inaugural session, and we look forward to all participants who are online to join us again for the technical session at 2 p.m. Thank you all.